Hello and welcome to Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly. And in this week's episode we'll be discussing why exotic plants and plants in general are now so expensive. So you may have noticed, if you have been gardening for quite a while, that this year if you go to garden centres or try to buy a new plant online, prices have really shot up. And there's basically one reason for this, and that is demand far exceeds supply. So more people want plants that can be supplied, so therefore the prices go up. But there's lots of reasons behind this, so I'll go through a few of them in this video, and then I'll talk about ways to actually get plants at a decent price or even for free. So if you've been growing plants for a long time, you know that prices obviously go up little by little every year. But if you grow your own, you can divide them and you can get more plants for free and you can do swapping and things like that. But if you're sort of the person who wants to get into exotic gardening this year or started last year, you may have thought, well, how have people afforded all these great big plants? Where have all these plants gone? Because you've tried to go online, tried to go to the local garden centre, tried to pick up all these plants that you've seen on Instagram, you've seen on Facebook and YouTube videos, and you just can't find them. And like I said, there's many reasons for this. And one of the main reasons is because of the laws and of Brexit as well, for the UK perspective. Getting plants to the UK is just getting more tricky basically for suppliers. So there's a few separate issues. So one of the issues is plants needing plant passports. So that's a bit more paperwork involved for the suppliers and producers, nursery people as well. So that increases prices because people are having to keep more records basically and do the paperwork and pay for inspections. So that's bumped up prices a little bit. But one of the main things, especially for palm trees and also for things like olives and lavenders and plants like that, which can be affected by quite nasty sort of pathogens, diseases, things like the certain moths and the beetles, like the vine weevils and things like that, that come in palms in Europe and other plants. We don't want to bring them to the UK, and other countries don't want to get them into their countries. So there's been restrictions over the last few years about what plants move around Europe and especially come to the UK without being quarantined. So talked about it in previous videos where we looked at specific diseases and how they had to be recorded and make sure they're not moved to the UK. And because of this, it's limited the supply of plants in the last few years that can come to the UK. So for instance, palm trees, basically with any sort of decent sized trunk for most species, can't just be shipped over to the UK. They have to be held in quarantine for a minimum of 2 years in basically like netted area and being shown, inspected to make sure they're free of diseases before they can be shipped to the UK. Now obviously that's not really worth it for most suppliers on the continent, because why go to all the extra expense of doing that when they can just sell across Europe, because they've got, you know, the European Union rules, which are separate now to the UK rules and what DEFRA brought in a couple of years ago. So their market is mainly Europe rather than having to just think about the UK separately. But there are plants still getting in, but it just makes it more difficult, and that's adding on to the cost as well and restricting the types of plants you can get across here very easily. Mainly palm trees, but talked about olives as well and things in that sort of family. And also the Brexit as well has caused more disruption with supply. But that's not the main issue. It is mainly the trying to make sure that the diseases don't come to the UK basically. There's been more paperwork, more proving that plants are healthy before they come to the UK. And because a lot of suppliers don't want to go to all that extra effort, therefore demand from UK people like us trying to buy these plants far outstrips the supply of these plants that have been quarantined before they come to the UK, all gone through the rigorous checks and the paperwork, so all that adds on to the costs. And another big reason why plants have gone up in price is because of the pandemic and lockdown last year. More people have got into gardening, far more people are aware of plants in general. Houseplants, you might have seen, have gone through the roof. Exotic plants for outdoors are following now because people want these plants to become more trendy, more in vogue, and the demand is there, but unfortunately the supply is not keeping up. So if you go onto Instagram and Facebook and YouTube videos, you can see all these great plants, and more people are doing that. More people are aware because of social media of the huge range of plants that are out there. So the demand for these plants has really shot up. And there's only so many nurseries in the UK, so many stockists of these plants that have got them in stock, and it takes many years to produce these plants if they're grown in the UK on a lot of plants anyway. So palm trees historically have always been shipped in from Spain, sometimes even from South America and from Mediterranean countries where they've been grown, nice hot climate, irrigated, grown quickly, can be shipped across via Holland to the UK generally. But because that supply chain is dwindling now because of quarantine restrictions to the UK, and because the demand is so high, it's very difficult to get a lot of the plants. So people ask me, where do I get my Brea Marta, a nice blue palm, where do I get my Jabea like behind me? Well, I got these plants over the last 10-15 years, so some of the places I bought my plants don't exist anymore, or they don't have stock, or not many in stock, so therefore prices go up. So it's a great time to be gardening because there's so much wealth of information out there, but it's not a great time if you want to get a decent price for plants because there's not that supply there at the moment. But there are some ways where we can get great plants for the gardens. Growing from seed is a great way. Seed isn't really restricted in the same ways that plants are, so you can get the seeds of pretty much all the plants, but it takes years and years to get the big mature plants like the palms. The bamboos is obviously restricted on when they flower to when they seed, and then the cannas as well. A lot of those are from division rather than seed, but you're still a huge range of things like cannas and bananas that you can grow from seed, but you've got to wait, grow them on, have the skill and the patience to do so, and a lot of people just want instant big plants. There's a way around this. Obviously, if you go into your local Facebook marketplace or Gumtree or eBay, lots of people try to get rid of big mature plants because they're doing building works and they don't want it, or they're trying to make some extra money. So things like Chachycabs fortunae, yuccas, you can easily pick these up for basically nothing in a lot of cases, or for not much money at all. Obviously, you probably have to go around and dig them up and transport them, which can be a big headache, but you can get some great big plants for very low cost indeed. Obviously, it's not as fun doing that as growing from small plants and watching them grow, but you do get the instant impact. But the species that you can pick up through Gumtree and eBay and your local marketplace won't be that wide unless you're very lucky. You might pick up a bag and pick up that rare plant that you've been looking for. So it's always worth scouting out for those plants and looking out for those plants, but you won't really get the sought after varieties that way. You need to go to nurseries or grow them from seed, or go and swap plants with fellow people that grow these sort of plants. So in conclusion, basically the reason why plants have got really expensive is demand is so high now because people are realising they're great plants to grow. Even small bedding plants have gone up in price because more people are gardening. There's less supply from Europe, which is where we get most of our plants, and basically the pandemic and also a bit of Brexit, bit of the DEFRA rules, all combined means it's difficult to get plants. So hope you enjoy watching my videos. Obviously you can ask me where I get my plants from, and you can ask others where they get their plants from, but because it's changed over the last few years, things are changing now, it is more and more difficult to get the sought after species, and that's why prices unfortunately have risen so much for certain plants. If you've got a rare plant and you can divide it and you can sell it, you can make a lot of money. So thanks for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK. Join me next week where I'll be doing some more in the garden.